British arms sold to Saudi Arabia used in the war in Yemen have been declared unlawful by the Court of Appeal because they contributed to indiscriminate civilian casualties in Yemen. The ruling followed a challenge brought by the Campaign Against the Arms Trade, which accused the UK government of licensing arms sales when there was a clear risk they could harm civilians, which breaches international humanitarian law. According to the UN, the Saudi coalition has targeted civilians in a widespread and systematic manner, dropping bombs on hospitals, schools, weddings, funerals, and even camps for displaced people fleeing the bombing. In its judgment, the court ruled that the government made no concluded assessments of whether the Saudi-led coalition had committed past violations of international humanitarian law during the Yemen conflict and made no attempt to do so. Despite that, the judge said, "The decision of the court today does not mean that licenses to export arms to Saudi Arabia must immediately be suspended. The government must reconsider and estimate any future risks." While this opens the door to future sales, the ruling does mean that the government can no longer ignore international law as they have done so since the beginning of the war.
I really hope this judgment will be read by all the member states in Europe, but also more widely, because this is an issue which arms are arriving to Saudi Arabia from many, many different countries, not just the UK, and I do hope that this judgment will make people reconsider, not only here, not only within the UK government, but elsewhere too.
While the verdict is a victory in effort to stop the war, in reality the British are doing much more than supplying arms. British forces are actively in the control rooms guiding the war. They're training Saudi pilots while also maintaining and preparing the fighter jets they've sold to the Saudis.
This ruling is a devastating critique of UK foreign policy, because what it's shown is that the UK government has been all too happy to put arms exports and arms company profits ahead of the rights and the lives of the people of Yemen. For 4 years now, people in Yemen have endured a terrible bombardment, and UK weapons have played a central role in that bombardment. Saudi-led forces have been using UK-made fighter jets, which have been dropping UK-made bombs and firing UK-made missiles.
The question that now remains is whether the UK will halt export licenses or whether they will find a new way to sidestep international law.